Welcome to the Callahan Brothers Razorback Cast, featuring Tyler Callahan and his brother, Preston Callahan.
Coming at you live from the pool house today. Going to recap the Rice game today. At the end of the day, a win is a win. They say good teams win. Better teams cover the spread, and for a minute, didn't look like we were going to. First half started off very rocky, very concerning. Wasn't fun to watch. You got the fans booing going in at halftime. We got just an array of people across social media who expressed their displeasurement with how everything went. And, after that first half, it was hard to be excited. But in the same token, I trusted that Sam Pittman was going to get it figured out in the second half. I didn't think – there was no part of me that thought we were going to lose that game. But I was definitely not very happy with what I saw for a short period of time.
Yeah, it was pretty tough to watch. You had, our star receiver dropping balls, and we had penalties. Morgan gets ejected, and Poole gets ejected, and it was tough. Bishop fumbled. What was that? The first kickoff. Those are things you can't do and win a football game. But obviously, we went into halftime and made adjustments, but, some of those things we did, we shouldn't have had to adjust it, I guess. We should know better than to get stupid penalties, and that was something we talked about coming into this game is, hey, if we can protect the ball and we don't make dumb penalties, we should win this game pretty handily. And you see in the second half, we came out and did a lot better and executed better, and there was a lot different result. But still, in the back of my mind, after the first half, I was thinking, if we end up losing this game, that changes our whole season a lot. Texas wouldn't be a big game anymore. You go from possibly winning 6-7 games and getting a bowl game to maybe being another 3-4 win team. In the first half, that's what it seemed like it was going to be.
For sure. And, I don't think I was ever negative about Felipe Franks. I always thought he was a very talented guy, and he was a quality guy that we had in our locker room, and he was helping transform the Razorbacks into the kind of team that we wanted to see. But I did not give him the credit that he deserved, because watching KJ, and I'm not going to say that I thought that KJ was just going to come out and sling it all over the field and he was going to leave, no doubts, but I thought that he was going to be quality enough to where we wouldn't have to worry about anything. If he put on the performance that he did against Missouri, it's a whole different ballgame, but I don't know if it was nerves or what it was, and some of it had to be, but what I do know is that quarterback play going forward has got to be better. It has to be better.
Yeah, let's just break down what we did bad, and then we'll talk about what we've improved on this year. And since we're talking about Franks, we can start with him. Going into this season, that was a question for me, and I know I've expressed that multiple times. And, after the past couple of weeks, I said maybe I was feeling a little different just because the players were so confident in his ability. But, man, after the first set, even really the whole game, I never really – as far as Jefferson scrambling or, making plays on his feet, yeah, he's really good. He's probably above average. But when it comes to just sitting in the pocket and making decisions, I feel like he's behind. Sometimes he'd be standing in the pocket for 6 seconds and not even move. Or what seemed like 6 seconds. It was probably more like 4 seconds. But, I mean, he was flat-footed. I feel like he didn't really read the defense as well. He made some really bad passes. Now, granted, we had, Trey Knox, I think, dropped 3 balls, which is unheard of, basically. But I think –
You mean?
What'd I say?
Burks. You said Knox. But.
Oh, Knox, yeah.
Knox didn't, which was odd.
Yeah, I didn't.
We'd see more of it.
I didn't even think about that during the game. Yeah, Burks. Burks dropped 3 balls. We didn't even see Knox. I don't know what happened there. And then I think Warren dropped a ball, or Smith, or somebody. But regardless, KJ wasn't on. And after the first drive, I was thinking, well, maybe it's just because, he's nervous or whatever. And then it just prolonged, like, the whole first half. The whole time, I was like, we got to get freaking, I can't think of his name right now. Our backup quarterback.
Hornsby.
Yeah, we need to get Malik Hornsby in the game because KJ's not, like, he can't win it for us. Obviously, we had 8 drives in the first half, and we scored 7 points. That was pretty bad. And, I mean, if you're getting 8 drives a half, that's fairly good, honestly. So, which means our defense was playing pretty well. But our offense, I mean, we couldn't get anything going. We had penalties. We had penalties on special teams. I mean, it was a rough first half, and KJ played like a rookie quarterback. Like, KJ played like somebody that this is his first year, hasn't touched the field yet. Something you would expect from a guy like that. So, yeah, I definitely wasn't impressed. And then Burks. Obviously, he hasn't practiced in however long. I know he practiced Thursday, I think. So that probably played into it. But, man, you take a guy with that much talent, you don't drop balls because you miss practice. I mean, you might run a route wrong or, something like that. But as far as, like, you dropping a ball, that's what you do. You don't drop balls because you miss practice. I don't know what his deal was. Maybe it was something in his head. There's no telling. But, yeah, those are two. I mean, those are 2 of our biggest playmakers right there. You take them out of the game, obviously we're not going to be very good. I'm saying that like we have people who could replace them. I don't know if you have somebody that could replace Burks. But what I'm saying is you expect so much out of those guys, and you get something that we got in the first half. That's not what was expected for sure.
Absolutely not. And I guarantee you this week in practice, that's going to be an emphasis is catching the football. And then on top of securing the football, I mean, the penalties were just absolutely awful. We gave Rice 100 yards in that football game, and I mean, you can't expect to beat good teams when you play like that. There's just no way around that. So, it was all the way across the board, really. Another thing, man, and I talked about this, like, Scott Fountain's, like, he was supposed to be the special teams guru, and it just, we had another blocked punt, and it just feels like that something's got to give with that. He's got to straighten that up, man. I mean, every game last year we had a special teams blunder. We had one, we had 2 in that game, which of course a fumble isn't, Scott Fountain's fault. But regardless, the block punt is. The coverage is designed the way it's designed, and the block scheme, and he's the one who called the play. And when you're backed up in your own red zone, they're going to try to block it because if it's a punt, if it's a long punt, the return guy he's just gonna fair catch because they're gonna have decent field position anyways. But there's a chance for a big play like they made in a situation like that. So I mean, that's just, I don't know, that's got to be straightened up. So and of course, I expect adjustments to be made this week. But in practice this week, I'm sure the emphasis is going to be on no stupid penalties. They're going to focus on taking care of the football as far as no, silly drops, and then we've got to work on KJ getting his nerves down and putting the ball on the spot, because there were 2 touchdowns on that one drive where I think we settled for a field goal on that drive, if I'm not mistaken. He hit 2 guys right in the hands with it, and not on that drive. He overthrew them, 2 guys. But I honestly felt a little, and I don't know if it was on purpose, but the play calling I felt was just a little. I don't know if it just didn't seem like it at times that it gave us an opportunity to really make plays. We didn't burn the top off the defense very much. We didn't. It seemed a little basic, and maybe that was by design. I don't know.
Vanilla by design. Yeah, I think maybe with the play calling was that they were trying to instill some sort of confidence in Jefferson because he was having, not a great game. And maybe it was just you get a couple of plays where you just have a couple of reads and hit somebody, or you make it simple for him, so maybe he would gain some confidence and play better. And back to the question, we actually asked something similar to, or I asked something similar to this on our Facebook page, and we had a lot of responses. And I'll just kind of go through those. We had, our QB's play was awful. We understand that. I think everybody does. Special teams were bad. We already touched on that. Somebody said offensive line work. Honestly, I'll get into this a little bit later, but I was fairly impressed with the offensive line, to be honest, compared to what it was last year. Then we got another comment pretty much saying what I was saying about Burks and our quarterback. And what's funny is actually Ethan McClung commented and said this, one of our buddies, but I had actually called Tyler and talked to him about it before he actually responded, and he basically said the same thing that I did. But, yeah, man, so pretty much everything we said we've got to get better on. And then, like I said, I'll start talking about some of the things we did good. From last year to this year, I think our offensive line is tremendously better. We can run the ball now. So I know we were playing Ross, but, you can still tell against a team like that if you're able to execute and run well. And I think that, we did pretty good. I know Smith ran over 100 yards. I don't think that Rocket Sanders got as many carries as he should have, but he looked good. Obviously, Jefferson looked good running the ball. So offensively, 2 things we need to improve on. Wide receivers have to play better. Our quarterback has to play better. Things that we did better than last year, I think offensive line is a lot better. And our running backs, I think, were better than we were last year. I mean, even losing Boyd, I think we've got more depth and better running backs. And if you think about it last year, I mean, Smith pretty much took the starting spot. And obviously Boyd left early or whatever, but I think Rocket Sanders is a great second guy, and we have a lot of depth there. Jumping over to, I think I said our receivers got to get better. I think I said that. Jumping over to defense, I think our defensive line looked a heck of a lot better. I think our linebackers are, probably improved from where we were last year. More definitely improved. I think we're good there. Secondary, I think as far as, our safety play, we played pretty good. Cornerbacks, Bishop let a guy get behind him. I think he's the one he got the touchdown thrown on, or was it Brooks? I think Bishop and Brooks both let somebody get behind them. I mean, that's going to happen every once in a while, but defense looked pretty sound to me. We were able to get pressure on the quarterback a lot. We didn't get a lot of sacks, but we did get pressure on him. Obviously, our linebackers, we had 2 targeting calls, Poole and Morgan. I thought Morgan's was kind of crap, to be honest, simply because the quarterback was falling down before before Morgan actually made contact. So I don't really know how you avoid that one. But, Pools was pretty obvious. It sucks, but it is what it is. We'll get those guys back. I think Morgan will play the whole game, right? And then Poole, I think, halftime comes in. So, and that'll be pretty big, And not to mention that we didn't have Henry the first half of this game from Alabama last year. So he got in and looked really good. Or he looked good. I wouldn't say really good, but he did his job. He had some big hits, played well. I thought he played pretty well, especially being in the position that he was in, having to sit out the first half. But overall, yeah, defense looked better. Honestly, probably a little better than I expected. And we were able to limit, Rice just running the clock. I don't think that they really controlled the tempo as much as in the first half, obviously. But the second half, I feel like we were able to control the tempo way better than they were. Our defense played really good, kept them from just, run the ball to the middle and taking time off the clock. And also, we started scoring, so they couldn't just run it up the good and run the clock off because they had to score to try to stay in the game. But overall, defense a lot better. Offense, obviously, quarterback, wide receivers, offensive line, I thought looked pretty good.
Yeah, defensively, I was super impressed. I mean, it's nice that we could get to 4 down linemen and run some more man and things of that nature, and that's going to help us later in this year. And we tried, we ran it the whole game, and we wanted to. And do I think that's what we're going to do all season long in SEC play? Probably not. Do I think that we're going to get to mix it up in SEC play? Absolutely. I think that we're going to get to run a multiple scheme defense and show different looks. And if you're not excited about that, then you should be, because I know damn well Barry Odom didn't show all of what our defense was capable of now, because you don't want, especially with Texas coming into town, you don't want them knowing what you're capable of right now. You want to wait, and you want to surprise them, because Texas coming into town that's a big deal. But I'm not going to jump to that now, but I just think that we did want to reserve some of what we have in the some of the tricks we have up our sleeves for that game. But anyhow, yeah, our offensive line looked a lot better, and really, I mean, the only things that I can really notch that really were disappointing was quarterback play, receivers, and the special teams mistakes. And really, we've got to, when you're in a hurry up offense like the style that we're trying to run, you have to have rhythm, and you have to be able to. I mean, obviously, in any offense, you want to get first downs, but I mean, if you run a hurry-up offense 3 and out, then you're going to let your defense is eventually going to get tired, especially this week that with Texas coming into town. So the offense has got to hold on to the football a little bit longer, and they will. They will. They'll get it figured out. And I mean, we didn't run a lot of the play action passes, dumping off to the tight end and the flats, and we really didn't take any shots. And those are things that I think that we have to look forward to this week, honestly. But overall, they did win the game, and that's what they're supposed to do. So, we can't be overly aggravated about it. But I am looking forward to seeing the adjustments that they do make, and them, coming out and trying to put together a good game plan to compete with Texas this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking back to one play that really made me mad, or just kind of, it was stupid, and I don't know that if it was Burks' fault or Jefferson's fault, but it was like 3rd and 9, and we threw a slant to Burks, and he ran like a 3-yard slant downfield. And stuff like that is just like, why even throw that ball? like obviously he has the chance to make a play and get past those sticks, but why not run a 5-yard slant? Where you're catching the ball within a yard or two of the first down, rather than you're catching it and you still got to gain 4 yards. Stuff like that. Stuff like that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Maybe it's miscommunication. Maybe, but in the receiver's mind, you got to think you call a slant route. Obviously, it's 3rd and 9 or whatever it was. You need to be running. You need to be catching the ball at 7 or 8 yards, preferably 9 yards. But things like that, I think that Jefferson isn't the greatest leader yet. I don't think he's grasped the whole concept of just reading defenses or making adjustments or. I feel like he's just kind of going through the motions and trying not to make a mistake. It was his first game, but that's kind of what it seems like to me. Like he's just obviously he can make plays with his legs. The throws he was making, I could make those throws, and I'm not saying I'm good, but you could get a high school kid to make some of those throws that. And I say that they're capable of making those throws, but obviously in the situation he's in, it's a little bit more difficult. But he should be ready to make those plays, and he just looks like he's not quite ready.
Yeah, you have your everyday timing routes that you work on, your slants and things of that nature, drags. Those are your timing routes. Those are the routes that you take the snap. You take your drop, set your feet, and you fire it right to a spot, and that's where your receiver gets to. And the receiver knows where the ball is going to be at, and you know where you're going to put it. And I agree. You start working on that from a young age, and those are the no-brainers. It's a one-on-one. I know as soon as I get my drop, I'm throwing this slant. If it's there, you turn and look. If there's nobody underneath the slant, you throw it. And he did miss several of those, and I don't know whether it be nerves or what, because there's no way to know what was going through his head. But hopefully it gets resolved this week, because I really believe that, I've seen it. KJ has played better than what he played this week at Rice. And so I imagine that Kendall Briles and Sam Pittman, they'll stick their heads together and they'll calm KJ down in practice, whether it be putting him in more difficult situations in practice or pumping in crowd noise and trying to make it as lifelike as possible. They're going to figure out something this week in practice to really settle him in for the Texas game this week. And I think that they'll get it figured out. But yeah, and another play that I could think of about similar to that was, and it comes down to KJ making the right throw at the right time. There was a play, and it was 3rd and 14, and KJ throws a post, and if the ball had been on the money, the guy probably could have ran for another 10, 15 yards, but KJ threw it just behind him, and the guy had to kind of squat and sit on his butt to catch it a little bit. Then he turned around and maybe got a yard or two, but we were still 2 yards short of the stick, and it must have been his nerves. But then you had that play where Burks came in motion, and the snap was low, and there was kind of a fumble there, and Burks grabbed it. And there were a couple times that we just looked out of sync, but they should get it solved this week in practice. And I know I keep saying that, but there's a reason you have your first game. And luckily, we didn't have to play Texas first or play an SEC school first, because I honestly don't think we would have been ready for it this week. But it almost makes you wonder if they overlooked Rice a little bit. And I don't think that I don't think that the coaches did, because I don't think our coaching staff is that tight. But I wonder if the players kind of were underestimating them, and they were a little bit overconfident. coming off of last year where they knew that they were taking steps in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, the game ended pretty close to how we thought it would end. But the first half started nothing like we thought it would start. So, I mean, by the end of the game, we were playing like we should. But, I mean, that first half, you do that against an SEC school or Texas or somebody like that, you're not – there's no coming back like we did. And we wouldn't have been down 10-7, I believe it was at halftime. We would have been down, 3 or 4 touchdowns most likely. So we caught a break there. And like Pittman said, I believe he said we're lucky to be in the position we are going into half. And he was right. Like, we should have been down by a lot more and we weren't. So, but by the end of the game, yeah, we looked decent. But, it's just all those mistakes and stuff. If we continue to do stuff like that, we start slow. It's going to be a long season. I think what really got Jefferson going was whenever he made that pass to Morris and he caught it one-handed. Remember that? I feel like that kind of got him a little bit more comfortable. He looked comfortable running the ball all game, but passing, I think he finally got one to Morris and he caught it, and everybody was excited. But man, you never want to go into halftime and you're at your home stadium and the fans are booing you. Like, that's, those coaches, those players, everybody on that staff and team is embarrassed. You can't imagine what was going through Pittman's head then. Like, and then he goes to an interview and he was calm and collected and, just said, we're not playing good. We got a bunch of things we need to fix. They ask him about all these things, ask him about quarterback play, and he just was straight up, like, blunt about it. Like, yeah, KJ's not playing good. He's got to do better. Special teams playing awful. Got to do better. But, that's the good thing about football. You get a week to make adjustments. We had a halftime to make adjustments. Came out pretty good. So if we can do that amount in a week and start that much better, we'll probably be all right. I was really disappointed that we didn't get to see Hornsby play at all. And we kind of talked about this. It's one of those things where, Hornsby comes in and starts playing well. Then you're like, well, shit, what do? We got to leave him out here. He's scoring touchdowns or whatever. So then, now you got a position battle or controversy there, and that's probably not something they wanted in the first week. Now, I truly believe if we come out next week and play like that, in the first half, you'll see Hornsby. I really believe that, because we can't keep doing it. It's first game, you got to let our players get through their, whatever it's called, humps or whatever. But now you got your first game under your belt. You know what you did wrong. You know what you need to improve on. This week of practice, you see how it goes. Like, yeah, they're fixing things. They're looking better. You come out in the game, and, Jefferson comes out and puts on a performance like he did in the first half against Rice. I don't imagine we'll see him long. And if we do see him long, I'll be disappointed, to be honest, because I was disappointed in this game. But then, I got to think about it, just kind of talk to other people like Tyler here or uncles, a lot of people that are knowledgeable about football and the team. And it was probably best to leave KJ in. But we can't keep doing that. You can't just leave him in the rest of the season and us, playing SEC teams and we play like that. Like, there's no way. We won't win a game the rest of the season. You might end up beating Arkansas Pine Bluff, but it won't be good.
No, and the thing for me is if KJ Jefferson comes back out and starts off with a similar performances to what he did, and you put Malik Hornsby in, although he may not run the offense that you want to run, but if he puts you in a better position to win, then that's the guy you've got to go with. And, these coaches get to see these players each week. We don't. We don't get to spend time with them. We don't know who has a better grasp on the offense, who has a better arm. And I'm not trying to create a quarterback controversy, but I will say this. If KJ comes back out and drops the ball again, then you've got to put somebody else in there. You have to. You've got to put Malik in there, and you've got to let him run it. And if he runs the offense successfully, then you've got to start putting more eggs in his basket. You know what I mean? I mean, you've got to give him his opportunity, and I don't want it to get to that. I saw what KJ did at Missouri, and I know what he's capable of, and I know this coaching staff sees those good qualities in him, but you can't just exude those tendencies in practice and not in games. You have to perform when the lights come on. And, there are some people like that they do perform well in their comfort zone in practice, and then you get into a game and the lights come on and the nerves hit and they don't perform well under that pressure. And I don't want that to happen to KJ, but it very well could. Last year when we played Missouri, it looked like Franks was going to get the nod. And then I think they let him have a drive, and they put KJ in, and KJ played well. And maybe he didn't have any nerves because he wasn't entirely sure he was going to play. But now he knows he's the starter. This team is on his back, and I know we're being hard on the guy, but I mean he's our starting quarterback. He is the captain of our offense. He's a captain for the football team, and he's got to. He's as the quarterback, you have to be the leader. That's your job. So, he's there to make plays, and we need him to step up and buckle down and make the throws that we know he can make and make the right reads and all that good stuff. And that will come, or it won't. And Hornsby will get his chance.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if we're if our coaches look at this game and be like, KJ had a pretty good performance. If you look at it as a whole, not just the first half, you think, he came out and completed 45-50% of his passes. He ran the ball well. If that's what they're expecting, then Hornsby's got to be the better candidate. I mean, simply because Hornsby's definitely a better runner than KJ. I mean, it's obvious. He's way faster, more athletic. Like, he can run the ball. And I don't know how good he is at throwing. I've seen some practice, but it's practice. I haven't ever seen him play in a game. But if you're asking a quarterback who's almost a 5-star, right? He was almost a 5-star quarterback. You're saying, hey, you go out there and run for 100 yards today and score a couple touchdowns, and we just want you to complete 40% of your passes. I mean, I feel like he's capable of that. And obviously they expect more, expect a better performance passing. But what I'm saying is that, if they're okay with what KJ did, then Hornsby's a better candidate for what they're trying to do. And honestly, I feel like I don't know. I don't want to keep downing KJ, but I just feel like we'll see. Like we said, if he comes out next week and does this again, I feel like we'll see Hornsby take the field. And honestly, like we were supposed to have Hornsby in the game some. Like we had packages for him, and we didn't even get. He didn't even get to play. And I think it was simply because of the fact that if he did come out there and play well, then like we said, then what do? You take the captain off and be like, Hornsby, you're in. Like, you're our number one guy for the rest of the game.
Right, and you don't want to lose the team because then the team starts questioning things, and it can turn from a little decision into half the players go one way and half the players, you got to stick with KJ right now, and I'm not saying that KJ's not capable, and, that's not what we're saying. We're just saying that we need to see what he can do, and he needs to make the plays he's supposed to make.
Well, I mean, I don't think you would necessarily lose the team because the team probably trusts the coaches more than they trust the players to make the right decision. Like if the coaches say, put Hornsby in and he's playing well, and he's, we're scoring touchdowns, we're moving the ball, whatever, he's completing passes. I think the players realize, like, hey, Pittman and our offensive coordinator, I don't know why I can't think of his name right now.
What is it?
Our offensive coordinator,
Kendall Browse.
Kendall Browse. Man, I'm lost. Obviously, if they put Hornsby in and keep him in, then the team's like, we're supporting Hornsby because that's what our coaches want us to do. But yeah, I mean, to an extent, I agree. Like, you don't want to be making changes, right? Just like, Rice, for instance, you got two quarterbacks going out there. You don't know who's going out there when, what's happening. It would have benefited Rice to keep one quarterback the whole game because I think one of the announcers even said it. I think they straight up asked him, like, do you think their two quarterback system is working in their favor? And he's like, no, I don't. I don't. And I agree completely. It didn't. It's different if they were, you run down the field and you bring, McCaffrey in or the other guy was named Green, for like Wildcat or something like that. Like you bring them in for a couple of plays. But, you're switching every 2 or 3 drives. I don't really think that benefits you very much. And that's how I feel like we were with Morris going into the season. We're switching quarterbacks 2 or 3 times, every game or switching every other game or multiple drives. Nobody knows what the heck's going on, and obviously the coaches don't even know. The coaches don't know who the best guy is, and that's not good. Like if you're to this point in the season, you went through fall camp, spring camp, and you still don't know who your quarterback is, then, it's probably not good. But, like, for our situation, like, we knew who our guy was a long time ago. But, he comes out and he doesn't perform. Well, that doesn't mean our coach is messed up. That means that, maybe he's just not ready for, the big show. Like, under the lights, he's a great practice player. There's a lot of those. Like, he can do really well in practice. But when it comes to game time, he can't do it, and that happens. That's not anything against our coaches. But I mean, if you're going into the game having 2 different quarterbacks, you're having a 1 and a 1A or a 1 and a 1B at quarterback. That's not good.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 2 quarterbacks, that means you don't have 1 quarterback, and that's how I always feel about it. If you have 2 guys in there and you're competing, you're trying to decide who's the best guy to lead your offense. Well, then you don't have a guy that's good enough to lead your offense. That's how I always felt about it. Granted, it's always good to have battles, and you want people in camps to push themselves to their limit, and you want people to grow and get better. But anyhow, at the end of the day, we got the win. Super proud of our defense. Catalan is he's a stud. He's an absolute stud. I mean, if you have to look at one player of the game, it has to be him. I mean, he comes downhill. He hits like a freight train, and he's all over the field making plays. And I thought that interception, he's going to return it for a touchdown. It made it look like to me that, man, we need to put that guy on offense and get him the ball. Right. He was, he's hard to tackle. He was making moves, and as thick as he is, and the kind of his frame makes me feel like he'd be a running back that you really wouldn't want to tackle, But he's a rare talent that I think we have, and I think he's going to be one of those guys that you're going to see play on Sundays.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was super impressed with him. I'm still in the back of my mind thinking, like, why didn't we see Knox? I don't understand that. Because, like, our coaches have been talking him up, like, you know, how much he's improved. And you know, I don't remember seeing him touch the field, to be honest. I mean, maybe I missed it.
Yeah, he did a little there in the second half, but not much. I mean, and I thought we'd see more Keytron Jackson. And honestly, you mentioned this earlier, but, like, every time Rocket Sanders got the football, it seemed like good things happened, but we just hardly ever got him the football. And I've noted, like, I know we had to be very, very, very basic because we didn't get any. We had 0 screens. We didn't swing it out to our running backs very much. We didn't get it to them in space. I mean, like, literally, it seemed like we ran the ball between the tackles and we ran a few rollouts and slants. It really feels like offensively that's all we did. And that option play, and then KJ would drop back and the pocket would open up and he'd take off running. And I literally, like, that's as much as I can think about of our offense that we ran because we didn't run not very many jet sweeps. We didn't run very many screens literally it just feels like that we were as basic as you could be. And honestly, in my opinion, if we were as basic as what I think that we were and still were able to win that football game in the fashion that we did, especially at the end, how we came on at the end, then I don't think I'm that disappointed. As you know, and a lot of people want to be disappointed, and I've heard the we suck and we're not going to win as many games. And I don't know. I was stuck on maybe 7 and maybe being surprised to 8 wins. I may have backed that down to 6 now, but that could change week to week. This week we could come out, play 2 collective quarters of good football, and I could change my opinion again. So I don't think that it's time to hit the panic button yet. But if we come out and play some more ugly football, then I wouldn't necessarily say it's time to hit the panic button because I think our defense is going to be well coached, and I don't think it's like, oh, is Sam Pittman the guy? I don't think that that's going to be in question. But after year 2, it could be, is Kendall Briles the right guy for what we want to do, though? And I'm not getting on any hate trains. I'm just letting you guys know that we just don't need to panic. You know, right now is not the time to hit the panic button and just trust the coaches and I'm not just some homer trying to speak for, you know, whatever, but if we push this guy out the door in 2 seasons, I will be very frustrated because I think that Sam Pittman is the right guy for this job. I really believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a question that Pittman's going anywhere. I still think we're sitting at somewhere like 5 to 8 wins. We're somewhere in that range still. We come out and, you know, we have some more first halves like we did against Rice. That's going to change, obviously. But yeah, overall, the game ended up how we thought it would end up. The game ended up how Vegas thought it would end up. Like, Vegas is pretty good at this. They've been doing it for a long time. They don't miss often. And it ended up how everybody thought it would end up. Everybody's just so frustrated because the first half was so bad. And yeah, obviously, you know, we didn't like it either. We've talked about it. It's not good, and we can't continue to do that. But if we can continue to play like we did in the second half, yeah, there's still some things we need to improve. But at the same time, you're pretty confident. If we had 4 quarters like we did our third quarter, especially, third and fourth, we played really well the second half. Well, not really, we played well the second half. But if we had 4 quarters like that, you know, we would have just won that game by probably, 7 touchdowns or something.
Right.
But I don't know. They're going to make adjustments. They're going to come out better prepared, and obviously it's not going to be the first game again. It's going to be a bigger and better atmosphere. So there might be a little more nerves going into the next game, but not the first game nerves. Not the same nerves we were feeling at the start of that game. But yeah, I was pretty impressed with the amount of fans we had there. We didn't fill it out, but I mean, we had a lot. I feel like, since we won that game, Texas won, next week's going to be pretty packed. I'm actually supposed to be going to that game, but something's going on with my tickets. Somehow we got charged. We bought the tickets from the Razorback website, and we got charged twice for the tickets, but we still haven't received the tickets. So I don't know what's going on there. So if anybody up there is listening to this, knows what's going on, y'all help me out. Because I've got over $1,000 out of my bank account right now, and I don't even have a ticket. So I don't know what's going on. We got double charged, and I have no tickets, and nobody at the bank don't know what's going on. Neither does the ticket office. So somebody's going to have to get that figured out before next Saturday, I hope.
Well,
but anyways,
with 4 tickets, you just let me know.
Right? Yeah, maybe they'll give me 2 extra for free for the hardship. I don't know, but hopefully, anyways, regardless, I don't care. I would love to be there, but if I have to watch it at home, I would rather watch it at home and us play well than go watch it and us play bad. Honestly, I'd rather be at home if we play bad too.
Right.
So, regardless, I'm going to enjoy the game if I'm there or not. But nobody wants to miss that atmosphere either. Like, everybody wants to get to experience that at least once. It's the first time in, probably 5 years that we'll have an atmosphere like we're about to have against Texas.
Absolutely, and it'll be a good game. We'll come back with our predictions and kind of give a preview of that game. We'll have that episode released on Wednesday. You guys remember that?
Yeah, y'all remember that Tyler doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Y'all follow us on Facebook, first of all. I still don't know what Tyler's trying to say, but Facebook, Arkansas Razorback Sports Talk, Twitter at CallahanCast. Website is CallahanCast.com, I believe. Interact with us. We're not new to this at this point, but we're not as experienced as some. So we're still getting there. We're trying to put out stuff that people like to listen to. Trying to be a little different. I don't know. We're still talking about sports. I don't know how much different you can be. Right. But everybody likes to hear different opinions. I like even with anything, football, sports in general, politics, whatever it is. I like to listen to multiple people before I form my own opinion. And obviously do my own research, but it's nice to listen to more people talk about it, because not everybody thinks about the same things. Like, you can have, a million people talk about the game and the things we did wrong, and most of the things that we thought we did wrong, people probably think we did wrong too. But there's some things where people wouldn't even think, like, hey, our left guard's going to get a lot better at blocking this whenever we run this play. There's certain things that I don't even think about. So, but yeah, y'all follow us, interact with us, tell us something. Like he said, we're going to be coming back here in a couple of days and doing a preview of Texas. That's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun game. I'm excited, more excited since we actually got a win. It would suck to go into that game with a loss.
For sure, yeah. And guys, give us a shout over at Farmers Insurance, the Brandon Fuller Agency. Check us out on Facebook. The number to the office should be there on the Facebook page. Y'all give us a shout. Let Brandon, Nathan, Sydney, or myself give you guys a quote. Let's get you covered. And just we appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week, and just once again, all the love, the listens. We can see how many people listen each week. So if you're a devoted listener, you're waiting for our new episode to come out every week, we really appreciate you. We don't know who you guys are, but we really appreciate you. So
We get to see what town you're in, but that's about,
Yeah,
that's about as far as we go.
It tells us where you're listening from. So, once again, thanks you guys, and we really enjoy doing this. And I know that we bring this up every episode, but we're Razorback fans through and through. I promise you that Preston and I talk to each other on a daily basis about our opinions on these things, and we talk to people at work and our family, and we are absolutely diehard. I wish we had a little bit more money in the bank and we could probably be in Fayetteville every weekend, but we're not high rollers like that, sadly. But regardless, we figure out a way to watch or listen or whatever we have to do, and we formulate our opinions, and you guys listen to them, and we appreciate it. So just once again, we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we do. I guess that's it. Like we said, we'll be previewing Texas sometime this week. Can't wait to watch it, man. We got it's not like, we're not waiting 2 or 3 weeks anymore. It's, we got another 6 days and we're watching football again, so that's nice. Yeah, y'all listen, check us out, subscribe, like, rate, comment, give us 5 stars. Shit, why not? I mean, even if you don't like it, you can click 5 stars. Looks good. But y'all remember that we're right and y'all are wrong. Even if you're right, y'all are still wrong because we're right.
And y'all are wrong. So y'all come see us. We appreciate it, and we'll pick.